So I'm Sherry from Team MathGo, and this last week I focused on getting familiar with Unity, C#, going through the documentation, and then getting a simple AR app running on my Android device. So one thing I started with is the Quick Start Android guide for the AR Core SDK that we'll be using for our MathGo project. And then following this guide, I got the SDK imported into Unity and then eventually into APK, which I then was able to run in my Android device, as you can see here. Afterwards, I continued looking through the documentation. For example, this AR simple app code where it goes through to explain what is a prefab, following these things through, learning about what anchor points are, what planes are, and then eventually I started looking into the Unity documentation, going through some of the methods or like objects that might potentially be useful for our project. Then I started looking into version control and noticed that Unity has integration with Perforce and Plastic SCM, but our team wanted to use GitHub since that was on the resume and we wanted to keep our contribution strong there. So looking into GitHub, I noticed that there was a file size limit of 100 megabytes, and not having used Unity before, I wasn't sure how big the project gets, but I think after discussing with our team, we came to the conclusion that we don't expect any files to be larger than that, so we decided to stick with GitHub. At this point, I've created my first app following the Android Quick Start guide, but I was still unfamiliar with the Unity interface and how to start a gaming project from the beginning. And so going to Unity, I found out there's Unity Learn, and there are courses and tutorials in this, and I found one called Create with Code that's 36 hours long. There's 5 units, and I was able to get through the first 2 units. In the first unit, I learned how to download assets from the asset store, how to program to control the camera, and how a player can control a vehicle driving down the road. And so here's an example of some of the code that I've written to be able to create this game. And a quick demo of this game is, voila, just driving down the road. It doesn't really do much, but it was a great introduction. In Unit 2, I learned to create a second game. And if I demo this, in this game, I've learned to spawn animals at different positions, starting from the top, and at different times. And I'm also controlling this farmer at the bottom, and it's throwing pizza at these animals. And once this pizza collides with an animal, the animal disappears. And so in the code, we have this destroy out of bounds, where if an animal is beyond a certain position, we want to destroy that object. We have a detect collision, so that once an animal and the pizza object collides with each other, we want to destroy both of them. We have a move forward that keeps these animals moving forward. We have a player controller that allows you to control the player movements. And then we have a spawn manager that determines when and where the animals are spawned in the game. Going back to our project plan, for week 3, it gave us the foundations we needed to get started using Unity for our project. And I'd say that we're making decent progress and on schedule and ready to get started with week 4.